In my entry-level autocross video, I covered the main mods you're allowed to make to your Mustang when you run in Street Category. If you're interested in autocross, but you don't want to turn your prized pony into a race car, running in Street Category is a great option. This video showcases the mods I would make if I were building a 79-04 Mustang to compete in Street Category. I'm using the 2020 rules for this video. SCCA rules can change every year, so it's a good idea to check before you start planning your build. In Street Category, you can upgrade the air filter in the stock airbox. You can install adjustable shocks and struts that have a maximum of 2 separate adjustments. You can install a catback exhaust system as long as it exits in the same location as the stock exhaust. You can substitute, add, or remove one sway bar. You can install better brake pads. You can run 200 treadwear tires. You can increase or decrease rim diameter by 1 inch, but they must be the same width as the standard rims, and the offset must be within plus or minus 7 millimeters of the OEM wheels. In Street Category, you'll be up against newer cars. Taking advantage of the rules will make your 79-04 Mustang more competitive. There are mods that I think are unnecessary. Some of the options you have can help or hurt the handling of your car, and several choices come down to personal preference. Let's talk about these mods one by one. Would I upgrade the air filter in the stock location? No. You won't see much of a performance gain from an aftermarket air filter. Would I install a catback exhaust system? Yes. The slight increase in performance is a plus, but the real benefit is being able to hear your throttle inputs, especially if you record your runs. You'll be able to hear when you're getting on and off the gas, and when your throttle inputs aren't smooth. That will help you adjust your attack strategy and find speed. Most autocross sites will have sound limits, so you don't want a system that's too loud to be legal. I've used Flowmaster stainless steel catback exhaust systems on all 3 of my Mustangs for years. They've held up really well, and I like the way they sound. There are a lot of other choices when it comes to catback exhaust systems for 79-04 Mustangs, but remember, the system you choose must exit in the same location as the OEM exhaust. Would I install adjustable shocks and struts? Yes. If you've watched my other videos, you know that having adjustability in the suspension is key to making a Mustang a capable autocross car. Adjustable shocks and struts allow you to fundamentally change the handling characteristics of your car. They're extremely helpful when it comes to dialing out understeer and oversteer. I've used Takiko Illumina and D-Spec shocks and struts for years, but sadly, they've been discontinued. If I were building an autocross car today, I would use Koni Yellow single adjustable shocks and struts. I don't normally recommend parts I haven't personally used, but I know many people that use Koni Yellow single adjustable shocks and struts on their autocross Mustangs, and they're very happy with the results. Koni Yellow shocks and struts are available for 87 to 93 V8 Mustangs, excluding the 1993 Cobra R, and 94 to 04 V6 and V8 Mustangs. The Konis have an adjuster at the top, and they come with a tool that makes it easy to adjust them between autocross runs. You're also allowed to upgrade the quad shocks, which I highly recommend doing. Functioning quad shocks will improve the handling of your car. If you still have the OEM quad shocks on your car, they're probably no longer doing their job. Would I substitute, add, or remove one sway bar? Yes, but which sway bar is really important. All 79-04 Mustangs left the factory with a tendency to understeer. Adding a larger front sway bar will amplify that tendency. Installing a larger rear sway bar will help get the car closer to neutral handling. On my solid rear axle cars, I used the Steeda adjustable rear sway bar for years. It worked with the OEM sway bar to help dial out understeer and oversteer. Unfortunately, it's been discontinued. There are other adjustable rear sway bars for solid rear axle Mustangs on the market, but they're much harder to adjust between runs. If I were building a solid rear axle Mustang for street category, I would install a larger rear sway bar in the factory location. How large depends on the year and model of Mustang. For V8 Mustangs, I would install an Eibach 25mm rear sway bar. For 4-cylinder and V6 Mustangs, I would install an OEM or an aftermarket 23mm rear sway bar. If I were building an IRS Cobra for street category, I would install an Eibach 29mm adjustable rear sway bar. The rules allow for any bushing material to be used with the new sway bar, so the poly bushings included with the Cobra IRS Eibach rear sway bar are legal. Your suspension mods are very limited in street category, but when you combine a larger rear sway bar with adjustable shocks and struts, and a good alignment, you can dial in the handling to suit your driving style. Would I install better brake pads? Yes. Performance brake pads allow you to spend less time on your brakes and shorten your braking zones, which means you can spend more time on the gas. But your brake pad choice depends on the year and model of your Mustang. Because from '79 to '04, the braking capability of these cars improved dramatically. If you have rear drum brakes on your 1979 to 1993 Mustang, your focus is on front pads, because performance brake shoes aren't really an option. If you have front and rear disc brakes, it's all about bite and balance. If you have ABS, very aggressive brake pads might make you more likely to trigger ABS early in your braking zones, which can extend your braking zone. Without ABS, very aggressive pads can lead to locking up the brakes and sliding, which will cost you time. Finding balance sometimes means using less aggressive rear pads. And remember, your choice of tires greatly impacts your car's ability to brake. There are many different brands of performance brake pads available, but 1979 to 1986 Mustangs have fewer options. I've used Hawk pads on my cars for years. They all have 03-04 Cobra brakes, and they don't have ABS. I started out using HPS pads, but I moved up to HP Plus pads. I'm a big fan of the HP Plus pads because they have great initial bite and they're very consistent. But it's worth experimenting with different brands and compounds to find out which pads you like. Would I use 200 treadwear tires? Yes. Top-tier autocross tires can shave 1 to 2 seconds off your time relative to your daily driving tires. There's a lot of debate about which tires are the best. In my opinion, it's more about which tires are the best for you. Tires are a very personal choice, and there are several top-tier autocross tires to choose from. I prefer BF Goodrich Rival S 1.5 tires. They offer consistent grip, they're predictable at the limit, and they don't feel as greasy as other tires when they get really hot. But it's a good idea to try different brands to see which tires you prefer. When choosing tires, always look at the rim width range, the section width, and the aspect ratio. You want the widest tire that will fit your rim without pinching the tire so much that your sidewalls bulge. The section width will change 0.2 of an inch for every half-inch change in rim width. A tire with a lower aspect ratio will have a shorter sidewall, which allows for better steering response. For example, if your car came from the factory with 17 by 8 inch rims and two 45-45-17 tires, don't try to cram two 75-40-17 tires on your rims, but do consider using two 45-40-17 tires. And always make sure the tire you're choosing meets all the requirements listed in the SCCA Street Category rules. Would I increase or decrease rim diameter by 1 inch? If I were building a 79-04 Mustang for Street Category, I would never choose to decrease rim diameter. I would almost always increase rim diameter. 79-04 Mustangs came from the factory with 13-inch to 18-inch rims, depending on the year and model. When it comes to increasing rim diameter, my choice would depend on what size rims came standard on my car and the variety of available 200 treadwear autocross tires. First and foremost, if your car came standard with TRX metric rims, there are no 200 treadwear autocross tire options. And because the rims are an unusual size, it's hard to find aftermarket rims that work within the rules. For early Fox body Mustangs with 13-inch rims, there's also bad news. I couldn't find any 200 treadwear autocross tires made for 13-inch rims. There are a few 200 treadwear autocross tires available in 14-inch sizes, but the options are very limited. If my car had 13-inch rims, I would upgrade to 14-inch rims. There are many 15-inch 200 treadwear autocross tires to choose from. If my Fox body came with 14-inch rims from the factory, I would upgrade to 15-inch rims. If my Fox body came equipped with 15 by 7-inch turbine or 10-hole rims, I would upgrade to 16 by 7-inch pony rims. You can find OEM pony rims on eBay, and replica pony rims are available. If my 1991 to 1993 Mustang came with pony rims, or if I had a 1984 to 1986 SVO with 16 by 7-inch rims, I would upgrade to 17 by 7-inch rims. If I were building a 1993 Cobra that came with 17 by 7.5-inch rims, I would upgrade to 18 by 7.5-inch rims. If I had a 1993 Cobra R or a 1994 to 2004 Mustang GT that came with 17 by 8-inch rims, I would upgrade to 18 by 8-inch rims. I checked old Ford sales brochures and online OEM rim suppliers, and between 1994 and 2004, Mustangs also came standard with 15 by 6.5-inch, 15 by 7-inch, 16 by 7-inch, and 16 by 7.5-inch rims. If my car came with any of those rims, I would go up 1 inch in rim diameter. If I were prepping a 2003 or 2004 Cobra that came stock with 17 by 9-inch rims, I would step up to 18 by 9-inch rims. But if I had a 2000 Cobra R, I would stick with the 18 by 9.5-inch rims. There are so many rims available for 79-04 Mustangs, it's often very easy to find an inexpensive set of autocross rims. You can also have a set of custom rims made if you need an uncommon size. In addition to allowing for more 200 treadwear autocross tire options, aftermarket or custom rims can increase track width, allow for tires with a shorter sidewall, and they often weigh much less than OEM wheels. Together, those mods will make a huge improvement in how much you can get out of your Mustang on an autocross course. But there's some maintenance you should do before you start hurling your horse around the cones. Every rubber bushing on the car should be replaced. Suspension bushings have to be the same dimensions and material as stock, but there are rubber bushing kits available. Your inner and outer tie rods and ball joints should be checked and replaced if they're worn out. Changing out your old bushings, tie rods, and ball joints will breathe new life into your Mustang. Once you've got the new parts on your pony dialed in, you can focus on the part that touches the steering wheel. Because running in Street Category is a true test of driving skill. And oh yeah, throwing a mildly modified Mustang through slaloms and sweepers is also a ton of fun.